Hey friends, welcome to the video. This is a Xur video. Xur is in the EDZ. Xur is the weekly vendor, appears on Fridays, exits on Tuesday at reset. And if I'm doing a video of this on my channel, you know he brought something good. So, getting into it immediately, this is the main ingredient fusion rifle. The last time he brought a similar role, it plagued PvP and instantly became one of the most used weapon, if not the most used weapon. And that is because tap the trigger gives you accuracy just for using the gun, and firmly planted gives you accuracy and stability for crouching. Tap the trigger was so potent, in fact, that they nerfed it on specifically fusion rifles, as you can see by the details on d2gunsmith.com. This is an excellent website by 7Dre for picking out the exact role you want. And so since tap the trigger was nerfed, it's not a bad perk, but I do think you'll get more mileage out of rangefinder and or high impact reserves if it ever rolls in the future. Now, the golden rule for fusion rifles is to try to make the bolts, it shoots 7 bolts at a time, try to make the bolts hit exactly 40 or 50 because it helps get the exact amount of bolts to kill, therefore the gun doesn't have to be as stable because you land less bolts to kill. This being said, a perk like high impact reserves plus accelerated coils makes sense. Accelerated coils drops the impact, but then you get some of that impact back with high impact reserves. You always spawn in with 2 bullets anyway. However, let's work with what we got here. I think the extra range and impact as you get for not running accelerated coils is maybe the way to go, seeing as people have overshields now in PvP, and there's going to be a lot of situations where that extra bit of damage, that extra bit of range, absolutely matters. Of course, you also just can't go wrong running accelerated coils. You can't go wrong as long as this gun has firmly planted. Let's be real. So do not let this weekend pass without picking up this main ingredient. Just put it in your vault, forget about it, because when you're killed by this for the 1000th time this season, you're going to want to pull it out of the vault. So, let's see what else he brought. He brought a very good PvE Dead Man's Tale. Want to get into this one, chambered compensator stability, composite stock stability, and it has 99 recoil direction. Armor piercing rounds is the best PvE perk, extra damage to shields, as well as if you're shooting ads, it'll go through the target, which might net you a double headshot, which helps for proccing 4th times the charm, and feeling like this gun has an unlimited magazine. 4th times the charm is maybe the second best PvE perk, whereas I think Vorpal weapon is slightly better, because ultimately you're going to use this as an anti-barrier, since that is on the artifact. Anti-barrier weapon. Where are we at? Here we go. Anti-barrier scout. Scout rifles stun barrier champions, so they break through the barrier. And so having both armor piercing rounds and Vorpal weapon breaks that shield even faster. However, this is a really good role because it helps double up on ad clear since you can reload it for every 4th shot. And then also armor piercing to go through the ads as well. So definitely pick this up if you don't have a good scout rifle option for anti-barrier. But I hate to report again that this is an amazing Hawkmoon. It's got the extended barrel for range and most importantly recoil direction, so the recoil direction is going to be exactly at 100. Then we have polymer grip to add handling, which offsets that extended barrel. This is the role that he had last week. He had heavy grip, so you lose 9 handling, but you gain 9 stability. Arguably, this role is better, since if you read very carefully on Hawkmoon, arguably last week's role is better. If you read carefully on Hawkmoon, let's go grab one in my... Do I have one in my inventory? Ooh, I'm a bad YouTuber today. One moment on the... I might as well just tell you what it is before I show it on screen. So if you land headshots with Hawkmoon, it gives you handling and range to anyway. I think that's the catalyst. Grants increased range, handling, reload speed. Based on the number of stacks of paracausal charge, you get the paracausal charge for simply landing headshots, and if you make it down to the final round, the amount of paracausal charges you have increase the damage. So you get 6 paracausal charges for a 1-hit kill to the head, and 7 for a 1-hit body. I'm going to throw this on real quick. See what it looks like. This is last week's version. Super stable gun, and you might not notice a difference between this one and the new one. I think even if you did pick this one up last week and you don't have any reason to pick up that Dead Man's Tale, go ahead and get this week's too. You don't know which one you want more. The reason that this roll can get away with the minus 18 handling from both barrels is because it also has Eye of the Storm. So not only are you landing headshots to increase the handling, but also if you get damaged, you get weak, you also get more handling. So both of these offset both of these. I still think if you missed this Hawkmoon last week, you go ahead and pick up this Hawkmoon. I might do the same because there are some games of Trials where you just can't peek the enemy because they're too good at sniping, or they have a lemon arc, so every time you shoot them with the primary weapon, you lose 90% of your health, and then you have to recover. Something like that. The situation comes up where it's just really hard to get those initial headshots to get your handling boost. So I might also pick that one up, and we'll just play around with both and see which one feels better in actual gameplay against good players. I hope that makes sense. The other stuff he brought, Fighting Lion, one of the best weapons in the game because it is a primary ammo grenade launcher. And I was thinking here, Fighting Lion, primary, it's Void, so it has synergy with the Void classes, and most importantly, let me show you everything else and I'm going to go back to Fighting Lion. I'm going to hold that thought. Graviton Forfeit, Syntheseps, Aeon Soul. I wouldn't pick up any of these three. And maybe I'd pick up Aeon Soul just to rush GM Nightfalls and stuff like that. But don't pick any of these up because they have a low roll. And if you didn't know this, if you go to the Daily Lost sector, we go look up exactly where it is. I use todayindestiny.com to find out where the Lost sector is. It looks like it is on the moon. So if you do a Lost sector, today's reward is legs. You wait for it to be the type of armor you want. So like, for example, if you want Syntheseps, you wait for it to say exotic armor, exotic gauntlets, and it will give you an exotic armor piece that you do not have. So if you do not own Syntheseps, you can guarantee that you will get a higher stat roll by doing a Lost sector that drops gauntlets. If you wanted the Graviton Forfeit helmet, same thing. Don't pick it up from Xur. Do the Master or Legend Lost sector, whatever it is, whenever it drops helmet, and maybe you get unlucky and you get Graviton last, but as long as you get every other helmet, you're guaranteed Graviton to be that last helmet drop, because it will always give you something that you do not have.
My will is not my own.
Okay, now the weapons really quick. Nightwatch is a tried and true PvE scout, and I think there are a couple roles that would double up in PvP, but honestly I want more range than this, if I was to go for a similar role. 7th Seraph Sidearm is a PvE workhorse and is one of the main weapons I'm using this season. I'll show you the role. I'm not even joking. I put in so many kills compared to other PvE weapons. This funnel web damage was from the raid alone, so that's why that one's a little skewed. But yeah, this role has been an absolute workhorse. It has surrounded for a damage buff, as well as demolitionist to help refill my grenade. And since they added a bunch of synergy with like proccing Devour, which gets your health back for a kill by simply picking up an orb, which you make for double kills with the weapon by having a helmet perk. Wow, this game is getting pretty intense on PvE. Follow me here, I'm going to simplify it. What the Seraph weapon and Aikilos weapon series do in Destiny 2 is after a certain amount of kills, it will drop a Warmind cell, which is an orange ball you shoot. I have an Aikilos weapon right now on called the Aikilos hand cannon, because it drops those orange balls for getting a couple kills, and it's a hand cannon, so it works with this seasonal artifact. So I get to have unstoppable hand cannon rounds. So you can do a variety of effects here. Like I could shoot it and it would blow up an area. I can collect it with the perk I have and it chains arc energy, which is the build I'm going for right now. This is my tried and true PvE build of this season for soloing all the Master, Legend stuff, story content, because what happens is an Aikilos cell goes down sometimes, and then I need to go invisible to pick up orbs off the floor, to pick up the Wells of Light, which is that purple thing you saw earlier, and to collect the Warmind cell. If I collect the Warmind cell, it chains arc energy everywhere, so I don't have to break out of my invisibility in order to do damage to a group. So it helps me complete objectives while also thinning the herd. And so for that reason, and I'm going to make a Xur video every time he has a good Aikilos or Seraph weapon. For that reason, I value those in PvE highly. Sure, there's a PvE speedrunner who doesn't use Aikilos in their daily rotation or whatever, but I promise you, Warmind Cell builds are very potent. Very, very potent, and it makes a joke of almost all the endgame content in this game. This is a great Gion 7 workhorse for all around entire game. It's going to be good in PvP and good in PvE. You can skip on this. Since this is Void, I do have to mention it. If you for some reason cannot do the Deepstone Crypt to get the commemoration machine gun, go ahead and pick this up. You might find that it has some value whenever you run double special. So for example, let me see what a double special setup would look like. I guess I'd have an exotic like Wither Horde. Here, we'll do this. So if this was my loadout right here for double special, I would want a machine gun to fill that up, and the machine gun would be acting as a pseudo primary. And so having a Void machine gun makes sense with all the synergies that we're getting from Void 3.0 in this sandbox. And I would just pass on the Swarm entirely. It's not good in either mode. Maybe some Arc builds out there, but I just don't know. And as usual, Xur has some low stat roll armor. If you like the cosmetics of this, you can pick it up and it will be transmoggable. But just wait for this nerf or bug associated with the low stats. Now, Fighting Lion. This is what I wanted to mention to everybody. The thought occurred to me when I was playing Void 3.0 Voidwalker yesterday. I have a very, very good Warlock build. And Child of the Old Gods is what I was thinking with Fighting Lion. So let's carefully read. Cast your Rift to create a Void Soul. When you damage a target with your weapon, your Void Soul flies to them and drains them, doing damage and weakening them. When a target is being drained, you are granted grenade and melee energy, or health if running Empowering Rift. So I run Healing Rift because I want my energy back. The way that this goes is if I'm playing a barricade team, I go Vortex Grenade, specifically Overcharge Vortex Nade, so I can completely cancel the barricade and they take damage running away from the Vortex. If I'm not playing Titans, or if I don't have another Warlock teammate, rather, I use Vortex if I have another Warlock teammate, because they usually have really good nades to make people move. But if I don't have a Warlock teammate, I use Axiom Bolt, because Axiom Bolts make people move. The issue with Axiom Bolt versus a barricade is they can weave in and out of the barricade to kind of force the Axiom Bolt to hit, or they just eat it with the overshield, something like that, or they just shoot it. So Axiom Bolt does have its negatives, but since you're using Child of the Old Gods, you can kind of just throw it and use it as a movement or damage tool. And so then Child of the Old God flies in, weakens them, and then gives you your grenade back. So you should always open with the grenade, and you can even just toss the melee randomly before you see them. My thought process here with Fighting Lion is you don't have to have line of sight to get the Child of the Old Gods to go, or the Void Soul, to go seek a target. You can just ricochet Fighting Lion into a group of enemies, and the Void Soul will go find them. So I want to try that out. I think that's going to be pretty sick. So if you don't have Fighting Lion, go ahead and pick it up. Some of y'all may be thinking like, oh, this is way too extra. You didn't need to explain all that. You're just trying to pad out the video. Trust me, I just made a new account the other day, and I am hemorrhaging legendary shards. Like, it's so hard to get these. It takes a couple hour play sessions. Yes, I know most of you who have already subscribed to my channel have an infinite source of legendary shards, but I promise you, if you're a new guardian within Witch Queen, it is a struggle to get these numbers up because of just how many staple things you need in Destiny 2. You either use your legendary shards for Glimmer and then Glimmer for all the fragments and stuff. What ends up happening is you spend a couple hour play session to get your shards back up, and then immediately they're back down, and I don't really even feel that my loadout got improved as a result of that. Anyhow, if there's a legendary shard farm in the future, I will let you all know, and maybe if that's the case, I'll just do less lengthy explanations, but I think some of y'all like that. Anyhow, I'm going to be on stream working on my final pinnacles for my hunter, and then after that, I will make a very detailed build video breakdown of exactly what I'm running on each of my 3 characters for PvP, and maybe 1 or 2 PvE builds. I already talked about my Hunter one a little bit, but I'm going to refine it and probably use a couple exotic boot swaps. Going to be using Star Eater Scales generally, Stompies for platforming, and Orpheus Rig if Star Eater Scales isn't the call in an activity. Because even though you're supercharged, you can pick up orbs, which will activate Devour. Pretty cool exotic. Anyhow, I guess y'all can see I kind of like this game. See you in the next video. See you in the next stream. Take care, everybody.